Hey, welcome guys. This is Mr. Flores, Teacher Paul, here to teach you how to paint in Scratch. Now I'm going to go kind of quick, just pause the video, rewind if I went too fast. But here's how it works. When you're starting out fresh, you go down here to choose a sprite. You click the paintbrush to paint a sprite. And when that happens, a sprite will show up in your inventory down here. First thing you want to do right away is name your sprite. That way, when you get a lot of sprites, you won't get confused on which one you're working on. Next, you're going to see that you're automatically brought into the Costumes tab, which is up here on your left. Scratch has three main tabs: Coding, Costumes, and Sounds. We're focusing on Costumes. That's where you do 90% of your painting. The other painting can happen on your backdrops, but I highly recommend you don't do that. And we'll get into that later in our coding class. But let's click back on our B sprite. Boom. And we're going to get into painting. There are two main types of painting in Scratch. There's vector painting, which you are defaulted into, meaning that's the one you start in. And there's bitmap painting. Right down here you can see convert to bitmap. Well, we're going to start out with vector, which is basically painting with shapes. So you have a circle tool. You can click and drag it out to make the shape that you might use to paint a face. You have the line tool, which is going to make lines. You can thicken that up by selecting the line and increasing the outline here. You can also decrease the line size. You can change the color by choosing the outline color over here. Voila! So it's really cool. Alright, we also have the rectangle tool, which you guessed it, it creates rectangles. Now this is a rectangle outline. If you want to fill, you need to go up here to the top left corner and choose a fill color, and now it's filled. So the greatest thing about painting in vectors is that you can constantly change what you've painted. It's not really permanent. You can always edit it. For example, I'm like, oh no, I covered my circle. Well, I can simply click the arrow tool here, select what I want, and move it around. Like I can get this out of the way, get this out of the way, and hello, my circle's still there. The other really cool thing about vector painting is that you can create layers. For example, right now this rectangle's in the front, but let's say I needed it to go to the back. I can go up here and tell it to go backwards one layer at a time, or I can have it jump through all the layers by clicking this one to the front, see, and the back. So it's really flexible in that it lets you edit a lot of things after you've already painted them. Where if you're in bitmap, once you paint, you can only change it by erasing, and we'll get into that in a second. The other really cool thing is you can select, like I said, you can select a shape and change the color even after you've already painted it. So again, you can change a lot of things after you've already worked on them. That's why vector's so cool. You can also change the shape of them. So let's pretend we are making a bee. I'm going to get my yellow color here. And, oh, there we go. Brightness is how bright the color is. Saturation is how much of the color you have. Like you could have a really saturated color or a very barely saturated color, and that's going to get into grays, blacks, and whites. And then the color up here is, well, that's your hue. Which color do you want from the rainbow? So here we go. Turn my saturation all the way up. Grab my yellow. Boom. Not green, yellow right there. And I have my outline, of course. So a bee, I'm going to just make a really simple, cute bee. I'm going to drag out this yellow shape. Again, if you want a thicker outline, go up here, click on outline, and increase the size. So there we go. There's my bee body. And maybe I want some wings. So I'm going to change the fill color to white, or maybe like a really light blue. There we go. And I might make a set of wings. Now you'll see this is tricky. It's like, wait, I don't want the wings to be straight up. So this is where our arrow tool, our selection tool comes into play. Right there, a little arrow, select tool. And you can grab corners. These are called anchor points of the shape you just drew, and you can stretch and skew the shape. Another thing you can do is rotate the shape by clicking these arrows down here, the curved arrows. So maybe I want my wings sideways like that. And the bee is going to be facing the left. over here. So vector painting, really cool. All right, you can do a pair of eyes. There we go. And I'm getting close to my B very quickly here. Now, the downfall to painting with vectors is that kids usually tend to try to fill in areas with their brush. But the thing is, you have to remember about vector is shapes. Shapes, shapes, shapes. So when you're painting with your brush, you're actually not painting like a brush stroke. You're actually painting a shape. Think of your brush as actually a very thin oval. So here's my oval, my circle. When I try to fill something in like this, put this line here for the B, I'm not actually painting a line as much as I am painting a long oval. And I'll show you here when I get the selection tool and click on it, you can see that it's actually like a long oval that can be moved around. You can also shrink it. I can put it behind this wing. So again, vector is really cool, but just remember, you're not painting brush strokes. You're using shapes. The other thing you can do that's really cool in vector is you can use the reshape tool right here. If I click that and click on a shape, it'll give me all of its anchor points. And I can click on these to stretch them out and kind of skew them. Right? So I can make my wings a little wider like that. You can also grab these anchor points to bend the shape, twist it. It's kind of really fun once you get the hang of it. You're like, whoa, this is almost 3D. The other thing though is with the reshape tool, if you click on a paint stroke, you'll see that it's actually full of all these little anchor points. And sometimes you got to zoom in to see them really good. And you can like get rid of anchor points. You can delete them. You can reshape by dragging these, right? So this is kind of really wonky and squiggly. So I can make my anchor points look really complicated, or I can simplify them. Let me get this one attached here. So to delete an anchor point, like right here, I have a lot of anchor points. I can click on one, go up here and hit delete. I click on another one, go up here, click delete. You're going to see that's going to help me get rid of some of my anchor points. So that is another way to paint in the vector tool. Now let's say we wanted to do this with the bitmap painting style. So I'm going to click this and delete it, convert to bitmap. And this is much more simple painting, but it's less forgiving. Like once you paint something, it's done. You can only erase. You can't really edit. So let's do this B again. Here you go. Here's my circle. You can see the outline option is gone. Like I can do an outline, but I can't do two colors. And then if I wanted to do an outline, I'd actually have to paint that, get some black here, bada bing, change my brush size, and go and paint this outline. So there is, however, an undo button up here, which is the arrow. Boop, undo it. So that is really crucial because sometimes you'll get stuck doing things and then undoing them. Deleting and erasing constantly, and you find out you're not getting anything done. So one way to erase when painting without erasing is to get the color that you want to erase and paint with it. So your paintbrush becomes an eraser tool. See that? I'm kind of getting rid of the black there. You still have your shape tools. So if I was going to do an eye, I might grab my circle tool and do an eyeball here. Grab our black here, increase the size. This is my little B. And then you can get some stripes. Now the thing with the bitmap is there is no layers. So I can't like paint these stripes over my wings and then decide that I want to put them behind my wings. So you really have to paint in a very specific order. So now that I'm going to do my wings, these are going to go over my stripes. So yeah, bitmap is a little less forgiving and it's easier to paint with, that's for sure, but a little less forgiving, okay? And so now I can fill this in with my paintbrush, where in vector mode you wouldn't really want to do that. You'd want to use the paint bucket, okay? So here's the outline again. You have to go and grab your paintbrush and actually physically paint outlines You can't just have them on your shapes as you're painting them. So that's another way there. Okay, now let's go into animating real quick. So that's the difference between vector and bitmap. When you're animating, the rule is 3. You always want 3 costumes. So this is costume 1. And when you're thinking about animating in Scratch, you want to duplicate, okay? You don't want to keep drawing all over again and starting fresh. So I'm going to take this bee and make them fly. The way we do that is the wings are up, they're in the middle, and then they're down. 3. The magic number is 3. So I'm going to duplicate this by right-clicking or clicking and holding down. Duplicate. And what I'm going to do is move this wing down. Because we're in bitmap, I can't actually move it. I have to repaint it. So I'm going to paint my wing here. And I'm going to erase the other wing. If I was in bitmap, I'd just be selecting the wing and then moving it, right? I just use the arrow tool. I would select it and move it. So there's a really helpful tool in this mode. Both modes actually. It's called the eyedropper tool. You click it and you click on the color that you already have there. And then it goes into your color selection. So right here, instead of erasing my bee wing, I am going to fill it in with yellow so it just looks like the body's behind there, and grab the black to do my outline. There we go. Of course, I have a really big outline. And again, the eyedropper tool to get that wing blue back. And I'm going to start filling in with my bucket. Oops. What do? I go to undo. Okay. Now that happened because I clicked on a black line, and you can see the black line's connected to all these other lines. So if I fill this black line, bada bing. So we don't want to do that. We're going to grab our brush. We're going to break those lines from the other lines. We're going to disconnect them like that. And then you can bucket them. Bucket, bucket. So I would need to go back and finish these lines here, of course, for the body, but for the sake of the video time, we're not going to do that. And now we're going to duplicate this one. And as you guessed it, to get our animation, we're going to be painting our wing in its 3rd position, which is going to be down like this. Okay. And same thing. So if you can get comfortable with painting with vectors, I highly suggest you do that. It's a lot quicker and it's a lot more powerful. There's a lot more cool options you can do. But I'm doing this in bitmap because it's the mode that most people are used to, and it's a little bit more like painting on a real piece of paper. Okay, so getting our eyedropper tool again, grabbing this blue and filling in the wing. All right, now again, the magic number for animating is what? 3. You usually want to have 3 costumes. So we have our wing up, mid, and down. And you can see that if I coded this to just keep repeating, you would see that the bee is flapping. So cool. And this is the type of painting you have to do to create animations in your game. So as you are, not coding, as you guys are painting sprites for your game, be thinking of the 3 costumes that you need to animate them, whether they're swimming, flying, walking, running, or jumping. If they're jumping, maybe they'd be crouching, then lifting up a little, and then fully extended, right? So that's your quick tutorial in painting. We have vector, which is all shapes, and we have bitmap, which is all paint strokes. I highly suggest vector, but if you want to use bitmap, go for it. Have fun. Don't forget you have an undo button, and don't forget to hit save every time you complete a very difficult step. So after that first costume, save, paint the second one, save, third one, save. All right, Scratchers, have fun. Don't forget to pause and rewind. Talk to you later.